It was a chilly Friday evening, and the city lights reflected like tiny stars on the wet streets. Mark, a single dad, was nervously adjusting his tie in the small cafe mirror. He had been out of the dating scene for years, ever since his wife passed away, leaving him to raise his 10-year-old daughter, Lily. The thought of putting himself out there again was both terrifying and thrilling. He kept replaying the blind date instructions in his head: look for a woman with a warm smile, someone who can see past the surface. He sighed, wishing he could just skip the small talk and go straight to the part where he knew whether this would be a connection or another awkward evening. Little did he know, tonight would be more than just a date. It would be a night that would remind him of the beauty of kindness and the surprising ways it comes back to you when you least expect it. Before we dive into Mark's story, take a moment to subscribe to Kindness Story Hub, hit that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from you, and every story here is a reminder that a little kindness can change someone's life forever. Main story: Mark took a deep breath and stepped into the cafe. The warm aroma of coffee and fresh pastries greeted him, offering a small comfort against the nervous knot in his stomach. He scanned the room, and that's when he saw her. A woman sitting alone, gently stirring her tea, with a soft, approachable smile. She seemed to radiate calm, like someone who had lived through storms but still believed in the goodness of people. That he walked over, introducing himself awkwardly. "Hi, I'm Mark. I think we're on a blind date?" She looked up, and her eyes sparkled with a mix of curiosity and friendliness. "I guess we are. I'm Emily," she replied. Her voice had a soothing quality, almost like she understood the nervousness that weighed on him. They talked about the usual things: jobs, hobbies, favorite movies, but soon, the conversation took a deeper turn. Emily asked about his daughter, and Mark's heart swelled as he spoke about Lily, sharing stories of her laughter, her stubbornness, and the small ways she brightened his days. Emily listened intently, nodding and smiling, not interrupting, just giving him the space to share. Then, in a moment that caught Mark off guard, Emily leaned slightly closer and asked, "Have you ever thought about how kindness changes everything? Even the smallest gestures can have a ripple effect." Mark paused, thinking. He had taught Lily to be kind, to offer help without expecting anything in return, but he realized he hadn't thought much about how kindness shaped his own life. Before he could answer, Emily smiled and said something that stopped him in his tracks. "I once had a teacher in school who gave me a second chance when no one else would. That small act of kindness changed the course of my life." Mark was struck by the story, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. He realized that kindness wasn't just about grand gestures, it was about the way we treat people in everyday life, the way a simple smile, a listening ear, or a patient moment could lift someone's spirit. As the night went on, Mark and Emily shared more stories, each one revealing a little more about the person behind the polite conversation. They laughed over awkward moments, nodded in understanding over losses they had endured, and even discussed their dreams, sometimes wistfully, sometimes with hope. By the time dessert arrived, they felt like they had known each other for far longer than just an hour. Then came the surprise. As Mark reached to pay the bill, Emily stopped him. "No, it's my treat," she said with a gentle insistence. But she didn't stop there. She handed him a small envelope and smiled. "This is for you. Just a little something to remind you that kindness comes back in ways you don't expect." Mark opened it cautiously. Inside was a simple handwritten note: "Your kindness to your daughter, the way you care, the way you live your life with heart, don't ever forget that it matters. The world needs more people like you." Tears welled up in Mark's eyes. He had never expected such a gesture, and yet it felt profoundly personal. It wasn't just a compliment, it was a recognition that all his quiet efforts, all his struggles, had meaning. He felt lighter, almost like he could breathe more freely than he had in years. As they left the cafe, the night air felt fresher, brighter. Mark realized that kindness wasn't about being perfect, it was about showing up, caring, and connecting. And sometimes, the universe has its own way of reflecting that kindness back to you in moments you never see coming. Over the next few weeks, Mark and Emily continued to meet, their bond growing naturally. But it wasn't just romance that was blooming, it was a shared understanding of how small acts of kindness could have a profound impact. Mark even noticed how Emily's words had inspired him to be more intentional with Lily, teaching her not just to help others but to notice the quiet, meaningful ways kindness showed up in daily life. One weekend, they went to a local park where a small charity event was happening. Children were playing, families were laughing, and volunteers were handing out snacks and blankets to those in need. Mark saw an elderly man struggling to carry a heavy box, and without thinking, he rushed over to help. Emily followed, and together they managed to lift the box, earning a grateful smile from the man. It was a simple act, and yet Mark felt the same warmth he had felt in the cafe that first night. Kindness, he realized, wasn't a one-time event, it was a practice, a habit, a way of seeing the world and the people in it. Every smile, every moment of patience, every little gesture contributed to a ripple effect that could change lives. Months passed, and Mark's life felt fuller, richer, and more connected than ever. He saw the transformation not just in his own heart, but in Lily's as well. She noticed how her father's new perspective brought joy and compassion into their home, and she began mirroring it in small ways, helping neighbors, being patient with friends, and even leaving little notes of encouragement for people at school. Then one day, Emily surprised Mark again. They were at the same cafe where they first met, and she handed him another envelope. This time, it contained a photo of a local community garden that Mark and Lily had helped plant, with a note, "Your kindness has grown beyond what you know. Keep planting seeds, it matters." Mark realized that every act of kindness he had shown, every patient, loving, intentional moment, had created a ripple that extended far beyond himself. And he understood, more clearly than ever, that kindness is never wasted, it comes back to you in ways that are unexpected, touching lives in ways you might never see. As the story comes to a close, it's easy to see the lesson: kindness is a gift, both to the giver and the receiver. Mark's journey wasn't about grand gestures or heroic acts. It was about showing up with a caring heart, listening, helping, and connecting. And in doing so, he discovered not only love and companionship but also the profound truth that kindness has a way of finding its way back to you, often when you least expect it. Conclusion: Mark's blind date started as a nervous step into the unknown, but it became a reminder of the transformative power of kindness. Through listening, sharing, and simply being present, he discovered that small, genuine acts can ripple outward, changing lives in ways you may never fully see. His connection with Emily, and the quiet, enduring love he shared with his daughter, became living proof that kindness is not just a gesture, it's a way of life. So today, remember Mark's story. A smile, a helping hand, or a simple word of encouragement can ripple outward in ways you might never imagine. The world becomes a brighter, warmer place when we choose kindness, and often, it finds its way back to us in the most unexpected and beautiful moments.